Hey, happy Thursday, everyone. We've got Will back for the first Thursday of the month with a very different background this time, as he is starting to unbox his collection in his not real new place, but new place to home his collection at the moment. Will, welcome back, my friend.
Happy to be here. Happy Halloween. Hope you enjoyed trick-or-treating.
Other than freezing my tail off, yeah, it's been, a decent week.
It was pretty cold here too, but we managed to do okay. I think we have enough processed sugar to last us at least a few weeks.
At least a couple weeks, I'm sure. And that's including the dad tax, which of course is mandatory.
Right.
Well, speaking of dad tax and Halloween, before we get into saying hello to all the friends on the chat and all that, Will has a special guest that would like to come on and talk about a recent watch.
That's right. We'll do a sort of guest recent watch because, as I've mentioned before, my youngest daughter, Helen, her birthday is on Halloween. And so I surprised her on Halloween. She had a math test that day, and she thought she was going to go to school and take a math test, but I let her sleep in and then let her play hooky and took her to see FNAF. So we got a guest reviewer here. This is Helen.
Hi.
Hello, Helen.
So what'd you think of Five Nights at Freddy's?
There were too many plot twists.
Yeah? All right. What was the issue there?
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, was it? Did you enjoy the scares?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was your favorite scare? Did you like it when the? Can we do spoilers?
Light spoilers.
Lady got cut in half
That's my favorite part too.
because it kind of just went like that.
Look at the camera there.
Somebody's saying, hello, Helen. Excellent analysis.
Now, how long had you been waiting to see this? You've been learning the lore of Five Nights at Freddy's now since you've been like 6 years old, haven't you?
Yeah, so like 5 years.
5 years you've been waiting for this movie. Now, did you like anything about it?
Yeah.
Yeah? Like what?
I liked the cupcake.
You like the cupcake? It was a deadly cupcake.
Yeah.
Helen, we got a question for you. Somebody says, did you understand the dream sequences?
Yeah.
Yeah, what was happening in the dream sequences?
The guy was having the same dream over and over and was trying to different his reality through his dreams.
Different his reality, huh?
Interesting.
Interesting.
Well, now I want to see it.
Yeah. How about the performances? What did you think of the actors who embodied these characters you've known so long?
It was good.
Yeah? You thought they cast it well?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What about the little girl?
She was okay.
She's okay? Could you have done better?
Yeah.
You heard it here first. Five Nights at Freddy's 2, starring Helen.
Well, thank you, Helen.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you for that review.
Okay, bye. It's my bedtime.
That was the best goodbye yet. That was amazing. All right, let's go through a lot of these. I pointed out a lot of our hellos before we went live. We got Josephine here, Ronnie here, Paul's here, Dude McMahon, Antoine Sibner, hello. David Lash, what's up? Been a long time since he's been on a live stream. Eric, Jake, this is a fun one. Ancient Pixels, hello. I came here from Deaf Crocodile's Twitter post. Did you happen to see what Craig said about us on Twitter? I'm asking you, and I think you muted your microphone again. Oh, William.
I have not seen the X.
You should check out X. Okay. Let's see. We got Chris Silver. A lot of great announcements this week. We will be covering them. Ragnar, what's going on? Dustin Putnam. Putman. I always say that wrong the first try. If it's Thursday night, it's Reconnected. Thank you all for all you do for the physical media community, Ryan. Love when it's Will's time of the month. Will's at that time of the month for you?
Man, it's always somebody's time of the month in this house.
I love that we both always have red cheeks because it kind of never mind.
I'm chubby.
John DeMarsco's here, the broadcast director for the Mets. It's off-season time,
What's up, John?
unfortunately for the Mets. Hello, John. Continuing on, Silent Mandibles here, Flickering Waves. Hello, Ryan, Will, and Chat. Finished October with White Zombie, The Beyond, The Composer's Cut, Houseu, Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde, Freaks, and Mark of the Vampire.
Oh, Tod Browning double feature. That's very nice.
Very solid finish. Yeah, this is probably a good time to point out through the Patreon this last weekend, we all watched Houseu together, and man, that is a fun group viewing movie. Yeah, if you're into that, check out the Patreon link in the description below. Craig's here from Deaf Crocodile. Thank the Helens that Helen was here. That was fantastic. Nicomedes, good evening, gentlemen. Okay, surprise me. Love that. Thanks for the little donation there, Nicomedes. Tony's here. Hello there, everyone. Missed you last week. What's up, Will?
Sibner just asked a question. I'm going to answer it.
Okay, I'm behind.
Sibner asks, at what point do you fear Helen discovering your Just Franco collection and asking you questions? I'm just gonna turn this camera here, and up at the top, right underneath those Shaw scope boxes, that's the Just Franco collection. So it's right in the living room where it belongs. And I'm not going to introduce it actively. I'm going to let it be an organic discovery. But yeah, I probably won't let her watch any of them.
That was like when one of my first videos I did with the kids, and I asked Spencer which one he wanted to watch in the movie room, and he looked around and was just reading the big bold titles. I was like, okay, maybe we should do something else because there's some titles you probably shouldn't be reading yet. Everybody is very happy that Helen was here. And then David Lash says, rookie move, muting your mic there, Will. Come on.
I mean, yeah, it's like I'm in Groundhog Day technologically.
If only everybody knew the amount of tech things I've had to solve for Will remotely from hundreds of miles away to fix some of our projects.
It's a well-known fact that media studies professors are all completely incompetent technologically. You should see us try to start up a projector on a teaching station and play a Blu-ray. It's impossible.
Oh man, we got a super ahoy from Silent Mandible. Thank you, sir, for that. Glad you are here. And man, there's lots of great friends here tonight. Will, the last couple times that we've been on, we've been sort of rushed because we've had a ton of stuff to cover. We haven't talked a lot about pickups and watches in a long time. I think we should spend a little bit of time on those tonight. How do you think about that?
I think we should luxuriate in our pickups and watches.
Let's do that. So first, let's do some pickups. One I really wanted to highlight, Vinegar Syndrome got in a copy of a book I've been wanting for a long time. This is the Amanda Reyes Are You in the House Alone? The made-for-TV movie guide. I've been wanting this. Unfortunately, I wanted the really nice one from Head Press in the UK that you could get in with the hardcover and super fancy edition, but it was free shipping, and that was super enticing. The other one, this is a very Will-centric pickup, but did not spend any time talking about this last time. The Freaks and Sideshow Shockers release from Criterion for Tod Browning. This is sort of a miracle that we have this in our hands. How much have you been looking forward to this, sir?
I never thought it would happen. In my cult films class, which I've now been teaching for 17 years, the one film that is always the first in the syllabus is Freaks. And, the DVD release was good, but the sound is not great. It's an early sound film. And so this upgrade has made things a lot clearer, and I can't wait to show it to people. And this set also has The Unknown, which is I like to introduce in like the very first introduction to film studies course that students take. I like to use The Unknown as the first silent film most of these students have ever seen.
Wow.
Because it really subverts what they imagine it's going to be like. And the Mystic is new, like it's newly released. I've never seen it. I can't wait to take a look. Haven't watched it yet, but obviously that was a day one from the Criterion sale last month.
Yeah, just about 2 weeks ago now, I think.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, it's not technically announced yet, but I believe the Barnes & Noble Criterion sale is starting here in just a couple hours.
Oh,
So
good God.
if you are keen on Criterions, it might be time to start making that list and checking it twice, because there's a lot of really good stuff that's come out from Criterion this year for sure.
Well, I got to tell you, so as you know, and I'm not sure whether this is a brag or a cry for help, but I do have the complete Criterion collection up to whatever was available in the sale last month, except for 2 titles, the Bud Budaker box set and the Thelma and Louise 4K. So once I have those 2, and then whatever else has been released, whatever else is eligible for the sale for November releases, I will continue to have the complete spine number.
Yeesh. Yeah, cry for help might be accurate there. Paul with the super chat saying hi, and then he says he's got Freaks on order with a local retailer, just waiting for things to come in for it to ship. Am I guessing right, Paul? Is that Cinemaniacs? Because man, they got a lot of great stuff for Aussies down there. I really hope people are checking those out if you're down in Australia, because they are doing some great work for everybody down there. Craig says our local Barnes & Noble just closed. I think it was the last big bookstore in the area. They hung along a lot longer than everyone else, but alas, they are gone now. God, that's sad. Obviously, you were not here last time we were talking about Best Buy, but all of this is just every time one of these is announced, it's sad. But at the same time, there's labels cropping up every year still. I got a message today from somebody that's, hey, I'm starting a label soon. You want to talk about it? So it's still happening.
Yeah, it's great. And, you know, for someone like me, I don't think I've entered a Best Buy in a decade, but those sales, you know, are important to the overall industry. And I'll point people to a recent interview that Celeste did on her channel with Brad Henderson, who really laid out the ripple effects that big box retail has on the boutique industry. Definitely worth a listen. And, you know, it's a reminder that it's important for us to support our favorite labels. Oh, I see Laurent.
Laurent says, hell yeah, my favorite partners in crime. Hello to Germany. Man, we had globetrotting tonight.
We had a little back and forth the other night because Laurent went to see the great horror punk band Blitzkid, who happened to be friends of mine going back about 26 years now. So I asked Laurent to say hello to them from me in Germany. So I'm sure, and he did. So I'm sure it was a nice surprise for them.
That's fantastic. A couple more I wanted to highlight. Unearthed sent in for review Full Body Massage. They're putting this out as part of the Unearthed Classics line. I just want to point out that as part of the marketing for this, they are calling this one of the most erotic films of all time.
Which, it's funny you say that, because when you flashed the cover, I was like, is that Joe Bob Briggs and Darcy?
Recreating the scene from Ghost. Oh man. And then 2 others that came in for review this time from Australia, and 2 that I really want to highlight. William Friedkin's Bug got a new release from Imprint. This is one that is it had been announced as coming on 4K from Kino, and it got canceled when Friedkin took a little too long with the To Live and Die in LA 4K. And then now there's no other chances unfortunately, with him reviewing some of these. But Bug is out now, and it's got a commentary from Friedkin that came out previously, and then Troy Howarth and Tony Strauss are on a brand new commentary on here as well. Plus, there's a discussion with Friedkin, and it looks like this will probably be the best release that we'll have for this for a while at least. And then finally, one of my favorite horrors from the 2000s, which I think that first decade was a bit of a low spot for a lot of people. There were some good ones, but not a lot of great horror came out around then. I think one of the best ones is The Orphanage, and Imprint put out this really nice hardbox release, 2 cases and a book, and it's a decent little booklet in here. And they've got 2 discs. One of them includes a commentary by author Xavier Aldana Reyes. There is a video essay by Miranda Corcoran, video essay by Dr. Rachel Knightley, some interviews, a featurette, and then the bonus features. There's a just cavalcade of featurettes on that second disc. They have all kinds of stuff on there, and then a Q&A with Juan Antonio Bayona. And I love this movie. If anybody has not seen it yet, please check it out. Imprint does great work, and this is an astonishing release.
They do. I'm a big fan of Bug, and you convinced me on The Orphanage, which I've not seen before.
It's a really good one, and it's produced by Del Toro, so it's got that early 2000s like his like super Mexican folk type of mindset behind it. It's really great.
Oh, one more note from Laurent, and I want to acknowledge that I pronounce his name differently every time I say it, but I'm trying to do it the right way, which is why it comes out different every time. But we want to pitch a segment for you in which the two of us share our love for particular cheesy action titles. The segment will be called Double Dragon, and we will wear large, colorful headbands while we do the discussion.
One day that will be happening.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go through your 400 pickups there, Will.
Oh, pickups. Okay, here we go. Oh, man, I was ready, and then you said it. All right. So I'm given the abbreviated list. Oh, man, I don't have anywhere to set this damn microphone, so I have to hold it.
That's all right. At least we will only hear every time any part of your body moves.
Yeah, you will. So first, I want to highlight a couple titles from Vinegar Syndrome and OCN. I'm just going to highlight one title from the Vinegar Syndrome subscription, and that, of course, is Mother's Day, which actually does deserve a 4K in my opinion. I know I talked about Mother's Day last time I was on the show, so I won't get into it, but I freaking love this movie.
It's wonderful.
So there's that. Also, on the repeated recommendations of Chris from They Live by Film, I got Altered Innocence, The Wild Boys, which I'm excited to see. I went on and on about this to the point that people, I'm sure, question my psychological state. But hey, here's the Defilers, Lee Frost. This is the guy I want to become the new cult filmmaker on everybody's minds. And of course, the documentary We Kill for Love about erotic thrillers from Yellow Veil Pictures. You said this looked terrible, and that's part of the reason I picked it up. Saturn's Core SOV aquatic thriller Deep Undead. I watched the trailer and I was like, that actually looks pretty ambitious. I'm going to check it out.
I didn't mean that as a bad thing.
Yeah. No, I'm excited about it. And shout out to Craig. Told you I'd get the cat movie. Cat City. Can't wait to watch it.
I know you don't get a chance to check in with the Discord every day, but the number of times that people have been watching that movie and only reviewing it as calling it the cat movie is so funny in the Discord.
Well, I hope it's increased sales rather than. But anyway, okay, moving on. This is so fun. We have time to actually go through pickups.
Yeah.
So RIP Grindhouse physical store. But since I do not live in Tennessee, I don't use the physical store anyway. And so from Grindhouse, I picked up the Hellraiser Quartet of Torment.
Nice.
4Ks. I still have to decide what to do with my Scarlet box because of the Leviathan documentary.
Yeah.
For space reasons, I'm going to have to get rid of it, but I guess I'll just watch it and hope Shudder keeps it forever. Wait, I don't even think it's on Shudder anymore, is it?
I don't think it is.
Yeah, damn it. Well, anyway, also, I'm very excited about this one. Cynthia Rothrock's Lady Reporter, the Blonde Fury.
Nice. I've heard great things about that.
From Eureka. And was it Paul? We talked about this, the Australian film, Hercules Returns.
Yeah.
And this was like several months ago, but as a result of the back and forth we had, was it Paul?
I think it was Paul or Tony, or maybe both of them.
Okay. On the strength of their recommendations, I put in an order for it, but of course it was also included in this order with Lady Reporter and Hellraiser, so it took several months before I actually got it. But I'm patient. I don't mind waiting. Speaking of waiting, I had put in a big order at Orbit many moons ago, and then when they had their anniversary Radiance sale, I added to that order, and so I got a bunch of Radiance titles. Red Sun, which looks very good. The underrated OC and Stigs by Robert Altman. Fill her up with Super.
Ronnie says they let us ladies be reporters now.
They're called I think they're called typographers or and Messiah of Evil, which
that release is wild.
Like almost everyone, I've been waiting to see this for many years, and now I have seen it. So we can talk about that in a minute too. Getting near the end, Eureka, as you probably know, had a Halloween sale, so I picked up. I actually only had this on DVD, so I'm excited. Der Golem.
Ooh, nice.
The Last Warning. The Karloff Universal Terror box set.
Oh, nice.
And we'll talk about collecting a little bit later and managing a physical collection. This was a great release to get because it allowed me to get rid of 2 bulky DVDs, because I used to have Troll and Troll 2 and Best Worst Movie on 2 DVDs, and now I have them all on this Eureka Blu-ray.
Nice.
All right, last one. You may have...
Rookie move again, Will. Your thumb needs to stay away from the mute button.
All y'all can kiss my ass. All right. I'll start that over. You may have noticed I'm wearing a Legend of Boggy Creek shirt.
Nice.
I know this actually is a nerdy story that I'm about to tell. So the Legend of Boggy Creek 4K, which actually looks really good. The real star of that movie is the location. And it's gorgeous. The kind of backwoods bayou area of where'd they shoot it? It was same place as Gator Bait. I forget the name of the place. Well, anyway, so I ordered this from the website, and the family, I guess, did the restoration and are handling the release. Well, I get this email one day, and it says Pamela or Pamela. It's spelled with a U, so I don't know if it's Pamela or Pamela because, they're from Arkansas. Pierce. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I got an email from Charles Pierce's daughter. And so I opened the email, and she says, I'm sorry to say that the extra large t-shirt is out of stock. Would you like a replacement? And I was like, oh my God. She cares about my well-being as a person. So I wrote back and I said, well, I'd love to get the long sleeve, but it's different price. How do you want me to pay the difference? And she wrote back again and said, don't worry about it. So we're friends now.
On the gift giving level, even.
Yeah, like next time I go to Arkansas, we're gonna, I don't know, go hunting.
Laurent says, "Damn, Messiah of Evil is a classic, Mr. Dodson. How come that you saw it so late? Why?"
I was so busy earning my doctorate that I didn't have time.
Craig says, "Literally just opened a box that arrived today. Dracula and Son from
Nice.
Severin, Extreme Prejudice, and Witness 4K Deluxe, all from Diabolic Woot." You were talking about Hellraiser and the two deluxe releases that it got. I just happen to have next to me one of the rarest releases I have. I wonder if anybody's ever going to go through the trouble to put out Deader on another Blu-ray, because this thing. Have you seen how much this goes for on eBay right now? Just this not good movie sells regularly for like $340.
Holy shit! Yeah, I haven't searched for it. Is that the one with like the alcoholic cop?
Oh, it's been honestly a few years since I've watched it, but I think so. It's either this one or the one before it. But yeah, this one is wild. It's been a long time.
We'll make you some money.
I like movies. I don't know. Well, since the last time you've been on, we had something interesting happen. We had our first title announced where our names are on here.
Yeah. The Swiss Conspiracy. And this is, I don't know if this is an interesting story, but I'm going to tell it. When we saw that Film Masters had that title, it just so happens that next year, a book about Jack Arnold, who directed the Swiss Conspiracy, and everybody in the audience, I'm sure, knows who Jack Arnold is if they've seen Creature from the Black Lagoon or The Incredible Shrinking Man.
Or Tarantula. That's a big one.
Or Tarantula, right. Or countless great Westerns. So there's a book edited by Michael Schumann, Michael Schumann, called the Films of Jack Arnold, which is coming out on the Refocus series at Edinburgh University Press, which the Wes Craven collection is also on, that came out earlier this year. And so we pitched a kind of unique visual essay in which we edited together interviews with Michael Schumann and Christopher Woofter, who also co-edited the Toby Hooper book with me and is in the Jack Arnold book. I'm in the Jack Arnold book as well, writing about his Westerns, in particular one Jack Arnold did with Fred the Hammer Williamson and D'Urville Martin. So in addition to checking out the Swiss Conspiracy when it comes out next February, you should also check out the Films of Jack Arnold when it is released sometime later in 2024. But it's going to be a pretty great book. I'm very excited. And it was so cool to work with you on this and to work with Film Masters. They were, so responsive and easy. So, yeah, really excited. And it's got other good features on it too.
they are also extremely supportive, and it is saying something that one of the first things that's getting announced with our names on it is literally it turned into essentially a documentary on the story of Jack Arnold's life.
Yeah,
it's not a short visual essay. This thing's almost half an hour long. So
yeah, it turned out really well.
You are getting your money's worth with this release. This is going to be a really exceptional visual essay, in my opinion.
Had a good editor on that. And listen, this film is pretty fun too. If you've ever wanted to see David Hess and John Saxon in a fist fight, this is your chance.
Yeah. Craig says, where can we pre-order? I believe it is up on Grindhouse right now for only $19 because he discounts pre-orders. So if you want to see that really sell it out for Mike, go pre-order the Swiss Conspiracy and blow Film Masters away by making this sell like gangbusters. They would love that.
Please.
Yeah. This release is going to be well worth all of your time, and I really hope people enjoy it because it's kind of incredible.
Hey, you want to see something cool? You see that big stack behind my head?
Yes, it was making me nervous.
That's all my Jim Wynorski movies.
Oh, gee. Well, somebody was asking. You showed your Franco titles. They said they thought you had 200. That's not all of them over there, is it?
No, I don't have 200. I have 100 and now 106.
Are all 106 over there?
Yeah, it's 3 full shelves. There's some other stuff on there too.
Dang.
Blu-rays are skinny.
Yeah, that's true. And there's a couple that are like double features and stuff in there too, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, and his digital films are all in slim case box sets. So there's like 4 or 5 on each of those. But yeah, 100 and what did I say? 106.
106. Yeah.
I just ordered. I know that you don't support this, but Full Moon at their sale, I ordered the Blue Rita, so that's my 106th.
I saw a picture the other day. Did they change the cover art on that after all of the pushback?
Not on the website.
I'm gonna have to look it up because I don't know if it was Blue Rita or are they releasing some other Franco title that I missed? I'm gonna have to do some research. I apologize. All right. Silent Mandible says, calling it Will Crushed by Movie Stack, April 12th, 2024.
Well, you know, it's funny. I think we're going to talk about that after the announcements, right? The difficult logistics. That's the word I'm trying to think of. Hope you can edit this and post. The logistics of physical media collecting, because this is. I've got about 9,000 movies. I think Ryan actually has more. This is like 3 boxes of 50 some that are still packed up in my damn laundry room.
So to hype up a little bit, after all of the announcements and what's coming out next week, we're actually going to have a little bit of a discussion tonight. We're going to talk about moving a collection and then storing a collection. What are the realistic issues that you may face with that? A couple comments to cover before we get into announcements. Ronnie's stoked, says Wynorski stack. Nick Amidi says, I'm just starting to get Jean Roland. I need help with Franco. Some hit, mostly missed so far. Don't be hating. I don't think anybody here is going to be hating because mostly me too. And this is where I'm going to step in and say, I will defend some things for Franco over here because I know a lot of people, when we say Franco, they immediately think Ryan hates it. I'm really hoping
because you say you do.
Listen, when you put out how many? It's what, like 173 films that he's done.
No, he's at like his on IMDb. He's credited it for like 204 or 5. I'll look it up.
Okay, so with Franco, he's got some that you would call normal films in quotation marks. What is that? Did you see that? I guess I'm celebrating Jess Franco here. No idea where that came from. I'm not going to use any hand signals anymore. With Jess Franco, he did some stuff with. There was another producer, some German producer that he did a lot with that got. I think it was the Golden Goya collection in Germany. Do you remember what I'm talking about? I'm sure you do.
I do.
There was like 15 films that came out through that line, and most of those are more normal and that I've liked. Also, a lot of his earlier fairly standard horror I liked. It's the crazy random vaginal zoom-ins that don't make a lot of sense to me, but we'll let Will translate those, I guess.
I gotta tell you, I don't recall ever seeing a vaginal zoom in, but if you want to point me in the right direction, I'll check it out. So he's on IMDb. He's credited for 207. So I have just over half. No, I have just under half of his films.
Jeez. Cinema Jimbo says, I moved 9,000 plus discs when I moved from LA to Ohio, not to mention 100 of 16 millimeter film prints. Oh, that is terrifying.
Yeah, my problems are relatively easy, really.
Oh, that's the name. Thank you, Gary. Dietrich, Erwin Dietrich. It was the German producer.
And the stuff he did right before the stuff that he did with Harry Allen Towers right before Dietrich was good too.
I kind of want to just do a bunch of other hand signals, see if anything else happens. Anyways,
well, be careful. Don't do this.
I'm not setting it up for the memes. All God, right. lots of films being released. That's the big thing. And
yeah.
Man, one thing I did want to say before we get into this whole managing a physical collection part of the conversation, I had somebody comment on one of the Instagram posts, and I glossed over it tonight because I didn't know if I was going to mention it. But there was a comment that said too many new movies, and somebody upset that a movie post 2000 was getting another release, and essentially just posting negativity on an announcement. All these films need to be saved. There are countless films going through film festivals right now that are not getting any release, not going on streaming, not getting any physical media release, and therefore will be on the verge of being lost media very soon. That's crazy to think of in 2023.
And you know what? This is so important that you're saying this. I didn't know you were going to bring this up, but I'm glad you did, because I want to make a confession. When I looked at the OCN releases, I found myself going like, oh God, everything's from like 2022, 2023. I don't know about this. And I had to stop myself and be like, why am I like biased against new movies? Well, there's a couple reasons, right? One, most new movies suck because of the effect of the blockbuster over the last 30 years. Okay. But in fact, throughout history, most movies suck, just like most books suck and most songs suck. You have to look to find the good stuff. And sometimes the stuff that you think sucks is actually pretty good. It just takes a while to realize it. But the other thing is, as somebody who is trained in film studies, you're kind of, because you spend so much time studying film history, you kind of gravitate towards older releases as a result, because you're used to kind of the archive mentality. Like, I need to go back and learn what's been made and how what's been made influences what's been made since. And so as we get farther and farther up and closer to the present day, you kind of have less imprinted reverence for it. And but you're right, the new stuff is in just as much danger of being lost as the silent films were, right? When they didn't preserve film at all and just burned it. The new stuff isn't getting physical releases at all. It's going to streaming for a couple months and then disappearing.
Or not even going to streaming.
We're not even going to streaming. We'll never know the genius that might have been Batgirl.
And so, like Dude McMahon says, but are those new films in as much danger as 50 to 100-year-old films on deteriorating film stock? Funny enough, they are, because most of the times, the films that we know that are on deteriorating film stock that are 50 to 100 years old, they're being archived one way or the other, or they're being restored every so often. But something that's on a single hard drive from a director, it literally may not go anywhere. And if it's on one hard drive for a director, how many people in the chat have had a hard drive fail on them? I've had a hard drive fail this year already. It happens all the damn time. God, Simmer even brings up, remember, Toy Story 2 almost got completely erased because somebody took something home. Like, it's crazy what goes through some of these. It's not just film stock that is deteriorating. It's the fact that we could lose all of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Carrie Mulligan says the worst part of attending film festivals is that you sometimes fall in love with the film you may never see again.
Yeah.
Still hunting down Norway's Harajuku, among many others. There was when I was at Texas Frightmare a few years ago, there was a film that I saw like the first third of, and the person I was with was going through massive back problems, and we had to walk out. And I'm still dying to see the end of that movie, and I don't even remember what the name of it is, so I can't search it out.
Yeah, and this will kind of get us into, not that I'm pushing us towards it eventually, questions of collecting and physical media storage, because it's exactly these kinds of questions that make it so hard for me ever to get rid of something. Like, I've seen Ninja Zombie and I enjoyed it, but I'm probably never going to watch it again.
Right.
But I can't get rid of it. But it's a DVD. And I can't, like, what if I need to show this to somebody?
Yep.
And
yeah, the other thing is, especially for people doing stuff like you and I, especially you as an educator, a lot of this stuff, if you can't see it anywhere else and you need to refer to something, you literally have a library. You have, I call this space the disconnected physical media museum and library is what I call it. And there's been many times Will and I have been working on something or talking about something, and I go, oh yeah, I've got a copy of that. I'll go pop it in and see if what the audio commentary on that one says about it, and we'll go do some research. I just had to send something to Germany because they couldn't find a copy of something on a disc, so I was the one that could help them.
Yeah, every semester, my students are amazed when I'll show a film and they can't find it torrenting somewhere. And then they're like, shit, I'm going to have to actually go to class. So many things just completely unavailable. And it's amazing that I'll even have a physical copy of it when you think of how many films have not even made the leap to VHS, much less to DVD, Blu-ray. And that's why the work that these boutique labels do is so important, right? Because the big studios definitely aren't doing it anymore.
Right.
You still have Warner Archives. Hopefully, we'll keep going. Paramount. But most of the stuff that needs rescuing isn't necessarily with the big studios. So
right, and that's why like the Netflix DVD program was such a big deal for people like Will. That's why Scarecrow Video offering people to rent nationally through their rental program, and they will send it to you. You can send it back. That is a huge thing where you can access some of these, not only just the old films, but the bonus features that are on those that could be potentially lost as well. That's one of the things I had to send to Germany. Like, even if you get the rights to something, some of these places, they just don't care and don't have copies of it. It's wild what some of these go through. Anyways, I could just go on for this for hours.
Well, we're going to be. That's what we're talking about for the.
Touche. So that's why it's so important to physically store your stuff well, and when you're moving, take good care of them. So I want to highlight Dude's comments here first, and then we'll go into some of that. Dude McMahon says, circling around back to Pamela Pierce, heard a great interview where she had trouble tracking down a good print of Boggy Creek because the distributor burned most of the 35 millimeter prints. She heard Tarantino had a copy, but didn't know how to get a hold of him. She ended up buying one on eBay for a couple $1,000.
That's amazing. The fourth looks pretty good, and look, it's not a movie for everybody, but it's really interesting because it's essentially a proto true crime, proto unsolved mysteries, proto ancient aliens, or one of those kinds of pseudoscience reality shows, because it's a compilation of reenactments of quote unquote real Bigfoot encounters. And I think for any unadventurous film goer, it's a boring movie, but when you really sit down and give it the attention and enjoy the incredible location photography. I mean, it's just gorgeous. But also kind of get into the experimental structure of the film. It's a really fulfilling experience. So yeah, Boggy Creek is a movie that I don't know if I'll ever watch it again, but I'm definitely not getting rid of it. And I love my long sleeve tee that I got with no extra charge from Pamela Pierce herself.
So on that note, as we said, we're going to discuss a little bit on the physical maintaining of the discs and some tips for moving that I had prepared for somebody else. I was going to put this in another video, but may as well go over it here. So first, you've had to move quite a bit recently. Do you have any casualties? Anything that got damaged in the move at all?
Yeah. And this is why anytime Criterion makes an announcement and I see a cardboard box set, I'm like, God damn it. Because I know that it's going to get damaged when I have to move it around inevitably in storage.
Right.
Yeah. So right now, yeah, my collection's in about 50 some boxes. I had kept everything entirely alphabetical, with separate sections for box sets based on director, actor, or themed collections, whatever. And but I can't do that here. I have room for maybe. This is like the most privileged complaint you've ever heard. I have room for maybe 1,000 movies in here. And so what I'm doing, and this is the first time I've ever done something like this, is I'm pulling out stuff by label. So behind me here is Severin. That's like almost the complete Severin. Pretty much the complete Severin. And I've got my Imprint and my Radius and my Eureka and 88 and all my OCNs. I don't have Vinegar Syndrome or Criterion out because there's so many of those, and I need to get like a rotating tower for them. I've got on the opposite side of this camera, I've got all of my 4Ks pulled, and that's kind of it. But it's kind of weird because I'm so used to, like, my viewing habits are very director focused or genre focused.
Yeah.
And when things were alphabetized, it was easy for me to just know where to go. On the other hand, and I know, I've watched a lot of people's videos in which they show how they arrange their collections. And I'm kind of interested in seeing how it looks for the displayer in me for the first time, to see all the label. Right, the label continuity. I've got all my Error 444s there. That one's easy. My Synapse and my Mondo Macabro on the other side. So that part is going to be interesting. I'll be able to concentrate my viewing on those. I certainly can't put my Kino out. That's like half the collection.
I got to admit, it is really nice to see labels together when there's something that looks nice together. Like I have the far corner of my room is just red because it's Mondo Macabro. Yeah. All of the DVD and Blu-ray cases next to each other is just bright red. A lot of the Arrow ones look really great together, especially like the slipcover Blu-ray releases. They look fantastic. So
that part is kind of cool. The opportunity to curate. I spent all this week, I've been pulling boxes out and going through them, and I've gotten about a box and a half worth of stuff to get rid of. And I pulled out all my Jim Wynorski films for reasons that I'm not going to say at this time. And that was kind of fun going through stuff. And of course, I picked out a couple other titles that I'm like, I need to watch these like this week. But I also, going back to your question about damage and losing stuff, and then and just the kind of aesthetic and ethical questions about collecting and display. It's tough, like, again, being able to collect it all is a privilege, right? It means that you either have disposable income or you're making bad choices, and you're capable of making bad choices, right? And probably a little bit of both, or a lot of both in my case. I'm sure in your case too.
I'm talk about it.
I'm seeing all these great comments, and what I'm not seeing is people who are like, you know what, I put them in sleeves.
I keep them all in envelopes.
It's like, that's a different channel, sir. There's a community for you elsewhere. Dude McMahon says he only has 2 Wynorskis. I don't believe you. I think you have more. You just don't know it.
Chris is saying, Will, if they came out with a 207 disc Jess Franco complete box set for $2,000, would you buy it? The answer is yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty good fucking deal. I'd probably get that if it was a Spielberg set. 207 movies for $2,000. That's a
Spielberg wishes he did 207 movies.
Fucker. Where were we? Get 3 ring play. And I gotta say, in the 90s, when I would see people put CDs into those binders, I would just like, that would be the end of our friendship. I'd be like, you have no respect for art. Like, what are you doing?
I only did it because I carried it in the car everywhere.
That makes it even worse, because then you pull them out and you got to blow on them and rub them on your pant leg, and then the player.
Nah, I maintain my stuff way too much. Yeah, so it's a lot of questions that can come up from that. Obviously, the ethical side of displaying and everything that comes from that is 5 other conversations in one. The big thing, though, is caring for these. And, we're talking about archiving in a way that doesn't lead to lost media. And one of the things that you hear about is disc rot. That's a scary thing for a lot of people. Have you had any discs that you've lost to disc rot?
I have never discovered it. I'm sure chances are there's something in here that isn't going to play anymore, but it's not happened.
So for those that have never seen it, disc rot usually shows up as like a white, cloudy film, basically, that is on the silver side of a Blu-ray. That it over time it will likely be expanding to from the inner to the outer rings of the disc. I've not ever had a disc rot on any of mine. However, I don't know if you remember, there was a batch of, oh gosh, I think it was Lionsgate from like 2011. They had like a couple months where all of the discs failed super quickly. And unfortunately, one of mine fell into that batch, and I went to watch it a few months ago, and it just didn't work at all. Nothing about it didn't even try to spin. It's crazy.
What was it?
I think it was House of a Thousand Corpses, and you're gonna be like, "Yeah, it's Rob Zombie. Who cares?" But
that's exactly what I was gonna say.
I love that movie, and I really wanted to watch it. And
Carrie Mulligan just said her Devil's Rejects.
You know what? It might have been Devil's Rejects. In fact, now I think it definitely may have been Devil's Rejects, because I've got that autographed by Bill Moseley and someone else too. So, yeah. Disc rot sucks, and a lot of times there's nothing you can do about that. People talk about disc rot as if it's something that you can combat. If the Lionsgate thing was disc rot, there was nothing that collectors could do. They were all going to fail no matter what. But the other side of that is a lot of people talk about like temperature control rooms, and before the heat or the cold can ruin your disc, I think the bigger thing that people need to look out for, especially for somebody like Will, is humidity. Have you ever had problems with humidity, Will?
I have been very fortunate because, for the past 13 years, I've been living in an apartment, a faculty apartment that was connected to a residence hall on campus, and so it had super centralized heat and air, and was really well maintained, no problem. Now I'm in a house, a rental, and the house itself is good, well insulated, but the bulk of my collection are in boxes, stacked up, which means that there's weight, pushing down, and they're in our laundry room, which, because of the way the house is done, it doesn't get like humid, balmy, or particularly cold, but it's still a laundry room, and it just makes me nervous. And then my book collection, I have about 2,500 books. That's in about 48 boxes, and we have that in an outbuilding. It has air conditioning. It has heat. But we don't use, and it gets pretty humid here. So in the summer, it'll be cheaper than getting a storage unit. So I'll probably just keep the air conditioning on low when it starts to get hot. I don't think humidity will be a problem, but temperature would be if I didn't make an intervention. So yeah, I mean, like, for me, my only recourse is to blackmail a rich person sexually, or win the lottery. And I'll tell you, I've had my chances. I dated a girl in high school who, not long after we broke up, her father won the West Virginia State Lottery twice. Like multi-million dollars. Like, why could I have not knocked her up? Nice girl too. Like, would have been fine. So close. So yeah, I just like, this is a rental, obviously, so it won't be a permanent thing. Hopefully, I don't know. But as far as size goes, I need like one more room, and I'll be able to properly. I know all of us probably say that, don't we? I just need one more room.
Yeah, if we end up staying here, I've already told my kids that what they use as a playroom now, it'll be my playroom eventually.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't wait until you get old and move out.
Remember that time that I had kids that didn't care about big toys that they could jump on and stuff? Yeah. I can't wait for kids like that again. Nicomedes says, my problem is I have so many discs and so little space. I've stacked half of them. Trying to solve it without moving is a challenge. You are speaking our language, my friend. Will and I are both seeing a lot of stacking issues. I mean, I've got stacks you can see right here starting to go on top of my shelves. I've got stacks. I don't really show this side, but I've got stacks piled up on the table right now that need to be put away, and I have no place to put them. I've got the closet of shame that looks ridiculously bad. Space is a true issue.
And so that brings us to a big question about our collecting and curation, right? Like, because we're going to die, right? And
yes,
I don't like to think about it, but like, so I'm 45, and I've got about 9,000 movies, which means it would take about 30 years to watch them all if I watched one a day. And I like to think I have 30 years, maybe, hopefully 50. But
also, one a day shooting it pretty short.
That's about all I can do right now. And then there's also all the streaming stuff, and I have about 9,000 movies now, but
Nick says, "The closet of shame. I came out and I still have one." That is the best comment. I love that.
But that's the big question now, right? Like realistically, because I get new movies every week, I'm probably going to pass away with some films unwatched
No
in the
doubt.
collection. Yeah. So what are we going to do? So like, I'm some people who are into film studies might be familiar with, and I've mentioned him on the show before, David A. Cook, who wrote A History of Narrative Film and Lost Illusions, American Cinema in the 70s, as well as a new book, History of Three-Dimensional Cinema. You know, he's one of the top film historians in the world, and he happens to also be at my school, and we've become friends. And he has a collection that is somewhere around 15,000, 20,000 movies stacked all over. Like he's got the whole house. It's an abomination. But he's 75 years old, and he's starting to think like, what should I do with this shit? Because I heard somewhere I can't take it with me. I think it was a Frank Capra movie. And so he's enlisted my help in trying to find a way to donate his collection to a library. But it's actually very difficult. You can't just call up a library and say, "Hey, would you like a library of my personal library of 20,000 films to make available to the world?" You'd think a library would be like, "Hey, yeah, that's our mission." But most libraries are like, "No, I don't want anything." Especially not the gay stuff these days, you know.
That's unfortunately a problem.
Yeah, sadly. Not to bring politics.
So one of the ways that I approach a lot of this is this whole room is my retirement plan. I
Right.
don't plan on spending a lot on exorbitant travel, even though I probably should. I want to get my culture from 1970 schlock, and I already have it. And the other thing is like, yeah, if I die prematurely, I kind of feel like my kids have a built-in library already for their futures. And because I'm working to instill some of that passion for film, I really hope that it's something that they're into. And I've already seen some examples of that. And if not like, trying to pimp out the Patreon more or anything like that, but if you've watched the videos with my kids in them, a lot of these, they're already fascinated with the actual physical product of looking at these films, what comes in them, what comes with them, what the films can say, what else is on the disc. Even the act of putting the disc in the thing is just this almost ritualistic thing that we do. And I really hope I'm building that passion. And so if I were to die next Thursday before our show in a bus accident when I'm crossing the street, they'll have a built-in retirement plan for them for years. And honestly, because of subscriptions, they'll still be getting films for a few months. So it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah. So I started laughing specifically because I thought of my Jess Franco collection being like, "Helen, this is for you."
Open a box and the light pours out.
But I got to say, Simner said university will take them. No, I'm talking about a university. They won't. There's a whole difficult process of transferring media to libraries, and then non-university libraries will just be like, "No, we can't take them. You can give them to us and we'll put them in our like dollar sale." But I don't like the idea. That makes me think of Ghost World, with Steve Buscemi going to like different garage sales to find 45s. That's realistically, it's going to be a situation like I'm Dangerous Tonight, where all my stuff's going to end up in a cursed trunk. And I'm trying to get my kids interested in it. I took Helen to see the Invisible Man, not the new one, the James Whale version, at the Alamo a couple weeks ago, and she enjoyed it. And there are some films that she's starting to get into, like she loves Nightmare Before Christmas and things like that, which I hope will lead to an interest in all of this stuff. But I just don't know, like my dad tried to leave a legacy for me, and I rejected him resoundingly.
Me too.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad tried so hard to make me an alcoholic, and thankfully, I just completely went away from that.
Well, my dad's into marijuana, so that's probably why I'm stuck with the alcohol. Too bad. It's too bad. No, but my dad is an incredible gardener. Like raises, all of my folks. They eat food that they grow, and both me and my sister were like, "Fuck you, Dad. We're going to stare at screens till we die."
What kind of secrets are you harboring?
What kind of what?
I said, what kind of secrets are you harboring? I'm just trying to be funny.
Yeah, well, he's got them all. Like if Escape from LA happens, I'm going to die in the first wave.
I'm going to die in the bad CGI.
I'll be able to talk for another time. Escape from LA, CGI issues aside, that movie was right.
Thanks, Ronnie. Sibner, oh my gosh, what?
Well,
yeah.
Sibner, you'll be happy to know that I've settled it on my stomach.
I wanted to bring up some tips for moving. I had somebody message probably about a year ago, and I'd been planning on making this another video of itself, but we were talking about this because I've been saying this for like a year, but we're really trying to we're really trying to focus on this and get going. But we're hoping on moving soon, and there's so much shit in this room that just the idea of moving it, I kind of want to not ever move. And
I know. And y'all, I've seen it. Yeah, move it. Oh my God. And let me tell you, books even worse. But yeah.
Boxes of books are so heavy.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
And none of them are the same height, of course, ever.
Yeah. I'm still working. I'm bringing one box a day home from my my temporary storage in my office, my new office, to the outbuilding that we have on this property. But my book collection is like 58 boxes, so it's going to take 58 trips to get them all. But yeah, as you're saying, like having seen your archive. Yeah, the best thing about moving movies is that you can divide them up by format. Of course, your media books are going to be a problem.
Oh yeah,
your beloved media books. Thanks, Europe. This is their revenge for our
Germany.
Yeah, Europe's revenge on our measurement systems is media books. But yeah. When you move, you find yourself being able to throw away like half of your stuff, but none of your, movies or books or music. That's the stuff that takes up so much space. And you're like, but no, I've got to preserve this. I've got to save this for the next generation. And you realize how ridiculous you sound, and yet you also cannot let go of it, because it defines so much of our lives. Like, maybe I'm full of myself, but I think there's a difference between collecting this kind of stuff and basic materialism. Yes, we're obsessively attached to these physical material items, but not in the way that kind of a voracious consumer of creature comforts is.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? These accumulations are not, they're luxuries in the sense that, we have the ability to amass them, but they're not luxuries in the sense of making our lives in any way like more pampered, right? Like collecting film, collecting books, collecting art, collecting music is work. It's a burden, to move is a burden. And these are, you can't just throw these out and get new ones like you can with, say, clothes or appliances.
Right.
So I don't know.
Sandro is asking, I know you guys don't like paper sleeves, but do either of you take DVDs or Blu-rays and put them into multi-disc 4Ks if you want to keep all 3 iterations of the movie?
Look, I don't want to sound combative, but the idea of adulterating the packaging, even if it's bad packaging, to some other kind of format to save space or for any other reason, just I can't do it. Even if I've got some like Mill Creek double feature case, I couldn't take the discs out and put them in something else.
I have. I'm more than willing to mention. I've got multiple 4K discs that I wanted to keep. The I think it was a DVD release that came with special features that were not on the 4K or the Blu-ray. So I'd get one of the 4K swinging tray discs and be able to put 3 discs in there. So I just take the sleeve out of the other release, put it in the new case, and get all 3 discs and call it a day. Why not? That's perfect.
Oh, I think I misunderstood the question then. What you just said is okay.
Frankensteining releases together, not using other forms of storage.
Okay. Then yes, that's okay. I haven't done it. But I'm not against it.
But we have your permission. Got it. Dude McMahon says, I hate moving. It really sucks. Fortunately, we got an astonishing deal on a much bigger house. Nice. Plenty of room to spread out. Never moving again. Yes. Smart. Sibner, okay, to go with the theme, you die tomorrow. You can fit 3 Blu-ray, 4K, or DVDs in your coffin with you. Which do you go with?
3.
That's a dang good question. Does a box set count as one, or as many discs are in there?
I think it's 3. It's 3 titles, right?
Oh yeah, I'll go 3 single titles too.
Okay. Well, for me, it'd be sentimental. And so I would go with Cemetery Man, Frankenhooker, and Slumber Party Massacre 2. I know that those are not obscure or anything like that, but they were formative. And when you asked the question, those were the 3 that popped into my head, so they must be right.
I would go with the one that a lot of people would have guessed. I'm going to take the Robin Hood Prince of Thieves 4K from Arrow because it's an astonishing release. The Coming Out release from Altered Innocence because it was the first disc that my name was on. And I'm going to throw in probably the steelbook that I have of Halloween. I mean, that was such a formative film for me as well. And I think those are 3 good choices.
Well, to be fair, if it's going to be about like packaging and stuff and special features, I can't say any of the ones that I would want to take with me yet. Ask us that question soon.
Soon question mark. Nicomedi says, I call my deal the chaos of curation. I love the stuff. I just don't want to own it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kerry Mulligan, a guy freaked out on Michael Keane because he let his son play with the Friday the 13th box set during a live. All right. Interesting.
Who's Michael Keane?
He's another YouTuber. He's been on the show before. He was in the Shelf Shock last year as well.
What does he do?
Keene.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. What's the...
He does like mostly Vinegar Syndrome stuff. He does editing for Vinegar Syndrome special features, and also has done some TerraVision. He's got that movie The Head coming out from TerraVision that he directed.
Oh, okay, cool. I knew I'd heard that name before.
Sivner says we'll just physically clutch his pearls.
What was that over? Well, was it repackaging stuff?
I think it was just through the whole rant there about it being more important than consumerism. Mostly agree, Will, but the firm Blu-ray artwork is terrible, and had no problem throwing that disc in the 4K space.
Well, I also say the movie The Firm is terrible, but that's okay. We don't have to agree. Yeah, so going into the ethics of display, so my wife very kindly told me, this room I can have, right? And that's kind of a big deal because it's not like enclosed. Like if somebody comes into the house, they're going to see the room. So obviously I can't hang my Demented Death Farm Massacre framed poster or Frankenhooker or anything like that. I've got like Metropolis and things like that. I do have my Jess Franco films on display subtly. Like, I'm not calling attention to them. But if somebody were to walk up to them and look at the titles, they'd be like, what's this Sinner and Nymphomaniac about? No,
right.
It's Citizen Kane. It's a remake of Citizen Kane. And people will be like, you're bullshitting. I'm like, nope, it is. You know? But the I don't know, the choices are difficult because as I was going through the boxes to pull stuff out, to find stuff that I could sell and try and shrink the collection a little bit, everything that I picked up, I'm like, God, I want to watch this tonight. I want to watch this tonight. I want to watch this tonight. And then, you know, what ends up happening is I watch a show while I wait for my wife to get sleepy enough so that I can then put in a movie after she leaves. And then she leaves and I'm like, God damn it. I'm going to watch an episode of like Gen V and fall asleep on the couch. You know, so it becomes this big question of like going back again, like, what am I doing this for? I've got a collection that is impossible to see all of. And it's growing faster than I could watch. Even if I could watch 2 movies a night, no problem. Right? And so then you got to ask yourself, like, well, why am I buying all these movies? To eventually try to leave it to a library that may reject me? To try to get my and Thursday nights people don't even get to watch movies at all. They just watch you yapping with somebody. That's crazy. Like, how did this even happen? That's a different question. Like, how did you conquer this niche market? And we've been talking so long that Deaf Crocodile has already restored.
He restored a film while listening to us.
I guess we provide some service, like
filling the blank space between your ears.
If you need some background noise to help you focus on a frame by frame restoration of a film
that's not even a Deaf Crocodile release.
Not even. So, like, I don't know. This question, I think we all come to at some point. Like, I am amassing a collection of stuff, a a burden, right, that I'm going to carry with me wherever I go, of stuff that I will not all of it will I ever be able to appreciate. What is this for? And I say this with no answer, and yet I'm not going to stop. Because I love cinema, I love film, and even if I never watch something, I know that by getting a copy, I am contributing to its existence. Oh, I did answer it.
Well said. Yeah, there's a lot that goes into it for sure. Yeah, I don't even need to add anything really. It's a tough decision, but yeah, I mean, buy what you want to watch what you buy, and also that ingest it, watch what you buy. I mean, don't
As much as possible.
yeah. This whole 1 or 2 movies, like I'm genuinely treating mine like a retirement plan. I'm planning on watching as much as I possibly can, and honestly, and I know Will's going through a lot of the same thing, counting down the days until either, no offense to the kids, that they're not in the house or they're 15 and I can listen to films loud where they're cussing, or there's murder happening on the screen and not going to be traumatizing a 7-year-old with autism that walks into the room because I'm watching this murder movie.
Especially because Kino's releasing the Ilsa movies next year.
Thankfully, my youngest will be turning 8 next year, so that's a plus.
Well, if nothing else, make sure you watch Cat City by Deaf Crocodile. Great film. Beautiful release. Chock full of extras, including a commentary by Sam Deegan.
Any moving tips that we want to throw out for somebody that might be doing that?
Okay, so this is an amateurish thing, but most of the moves in my life, I have like gone to liquor stores and grocery stores and just kind of begged for boxes. And one thing I would say is that it's worth it to pay money to get boxes that are all the same size.
That was definitely on my list, and it's the second thing on my list, actually. The first thing on my list you kind of already mentioned, so I want to go through it real quick. I would say, even if you have a giant collection, do not worry about packing in order. It is more important to pack by format, so it's the same height, and a lot easier for you to put weight on things in a way that is safe for everything in that box.
And if you're a longtime VS collector, put the Picaramas in a separate box, both so that you can keep it away from people who don't need to see it, and so that you can have access to it when you do need to see it.
Yes. So yeah, my thing, pack by format, and same as Will. I say don't cheap out on boxes. Like, I know a lot of us get a lot of boxes, so your first mindset is, I've already got 40 boxes saved from Diabolic DVD or Grindhouse or Severin or what have you. A lot of those boxes are not made for moving boxes. They are fairly thin. They're not going to hold up. U-Haul,
use those for knickknacks.
Yeah.
Put your knickknacks in those. Your knickknack paddywhacks go in those boxes. Get the strong uniform boxes for your collection.
That's a big deal. And then on top of that, you are getting packing materials. So make sure you're saving some of that bubble wrap and those air pillows. That goes a long way to save things up on the sides. You are going to have, a little bit of protection that helps and goes a long way. Boxes are going to shift no matter how tightly you pack them, no matter how much you put it in there. The boxes that you use are super important.
Yeah.
The big thing too, for a lot of us that are going to be doing this, some people go with the moving company, and I would say have them pack everything that is not your collection. Pack those yourself. If you want them to be treated as importantly, you can really only trust yourself with that.
Yeah, save those guys for plates and shit. Y'all seen Hellraiser? You can't trust moving companies.
If you are using a moving truck, we talked about some of these, standardized boxes, but also the better thing that you can do, put those like cube-sized boxes standardly stacked behind tall furniture, so that way they are lodged in place and protected. That's a big deal.
Yeah,
what if you have 100 of those film canisters that Vinegar Syndrome used to ship? You probably already have your space problem solved if you have 100 of those.
Yeah, I don't have any. Man.
One thing that I'm sure Will could attest to right now, when you're looking at how much time you're prepping to pack and move a collection, take that time and probably double it at least. It takes a lot longer to do this stuff than you think.
Oh yeah. What I like to do is schedule my moving time in the same week that I have a hard deadline for something else.
not just one, like 3 hard deadlines.
Yeah, that usually helps. I remember when I was moving out of the apartment, I thought I had all this. I thought I had plenty of time, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna have my last night in the apartment. I'll have a bottle of wine and watch a movie and have a good night's sleep." And this was around like 6:00 at night. So yeah, I just need to finish packing up the movies. And then around 4 a.m, I was like, I'm not going to get done packing tonight. I just need to sleep for 3 hours and then get up and finish. And so I go to sleep in my own sweat. It just, there was no elegance to it at all because it took so much longer than I could have ever imagined.
Yeah. It's rough. Let's see, a couple of others that I'd written down. One, a lot of people, when they're talking about moving, they seem to go to the idea of totes. I say for collections, for these, never use totes. They don't have the give that you want, and it will dent everything. And then the sides that they're a little bit thinner and they do give, they're going to dent whatever you got on the inside. It's going to push into it.
What's a tote? Like a tote bag?
Like a big plastic Rubbermaid tote bin.
Oh. Yeah, no, those are, yeah, you're right. They're not
garbage.
Yeah, they're fine for other stuff, but
yeah. But if you're desperately trying to
wrong shape.
Exactly. And that's the other big thing. They're not even flat bottomed. And supposedly all those girls make the world go round. I had to make a joke before you went there.
I prefer the round bottom tote, but okay.
Normally, yes, but yeah, these are not full in the way you want them to be.
the Karen series.
What about the actual physical storage in your room? When you've got stuff on display, anything that you found that you want to throw out there as meaningful ideas or protection ideas?
Well, as we already mentioned, if you have limited space, in particular, highlighting individual labels is a good way to go, or format like 4K, for example. That's really hard for me because my particular psychological idiosyncrasies demand like the full everything get displayed, and so it's really hard for me to pull things out and then know that stuff's out of alphabetical order, things like that. But yeah, I think most normal people are able to make displays that are themed, like here are all my westerns, or here are all my torture porns or something.
See, and I've never even understood the idea of alphabetizing. Like, I understand it's easy to find a title quickly, but
Yeah,
I'd rather go by genre, because I'm storing these to watch, and
but
I
you
normally I don't think I want to watch a movie that starts with the letter L. I think I want to watch a horror movie, and I go grab a horror movie.
yeah, that makes sense. But I mean, of course, you get in the difficulty of like hybrid genres. Like, where does where does this film go? Where does that film go? Where does where would I put Cowboys and Aliens? The trash.
The garbage.
but even like if like us, you're in the thousands of movies. So even when you separate them by genre, you still alphabetize them, right, or something like that.
Within the genre, yes.
Yeah. So that's fine. Yeah, it just gets tough when you have to make decisions about like horror comedies or
Right. So I understand that, because it's, you always know where a title is when it's alphabetical. But again,
Right.
I don't go, what letter should we watch tonight?
And see, this is how weird I am. Like, most of the stuff I watch, I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch everything by X director, or I'm going to start at Z and what. Like, when I first started getting into movies, and this is one of the reasons that I'm a huge. Well, I'll explain. So I started working at a video store, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to just watch every single movie in order alphabetically in the horror section. But I decided to start backwards. And so one of my formative influences is, at the time when I was 19 and a college student in 1997, at the time there were 14 witchcraft movies. And like, my introduction to like immersing myself in film studies was that. It's amazing I'm alive. But yeah, like, I watched all 14 witchcraft movies, and then kept going backwards all the way to Enigma was the first one in the section.
See, and this is actually a good topic to bring up in response to this, because obviously everybody sorts in a different way, but the way that we're describing it back and forth, you've got your quirk of how you watch. Yeah. I've got my quirk of, I like the whole, I do this far too often. I do the video store mentality. I'm going to go through and browse my titles till one goes, oh, you have to watch this right now.
Right.
So
right.
My stuff, if I was doing that, I would have it in a way that would appeal to that mindset. For you, if you're watching by director, I would say, why don't you go alphabetical by director?
Well, I've got, all these different like spreadsheets and Google Docs and things that I can consult. So like, without even looking at the collection, I can be like, okay, well, I'd like to watch a film by Sergio Martino tonight, or Michele Soavi tonight. What do I have? Right. And then I can see a list like, oh, okay. Or like, how many movies do I have by Ringo Lam? 6? Oh, I'm gonna watch all 6 of them this weekend. I'm gonna go from City on Fire to Replicant. Yeah.
If I was doing what has been sort of steering my viewing lately, I'd almost be organizing by runtime. Runtime seems to be super important lately.
That's a big deal. That stops me from certain directors.
Oh, this is 75 minutes? I'm watching that tonight.
Yeah. That may be one of the reasons I love Lee Frost so much. As opposed to like, the various Russians ideology notwithstanding. For me, the full alphabetical thing still allows me to do kind of a video store browse, not via genre, but I'll just kind of, go through, okay, L, and I'll see these films from all different genres and finally settle on one, whether it's Let's Scare Jessica to Death or John Sayles' Liana or the various, there's like 6 different films called Laura.
And for some reason you end up watching Leprechaun 4.
I think, is that one of the Trenchard Smith ones? Yeah, it is. So yeah, so. That could happen. That could
happen. For Vinegar Syndrome and Criterion, do you go by catalog number or title? I feel like you do Criterion by catalog number and VS by title. No?
Well, I mean, everything's alphabetized, but like, yeah, the stuff that's got spine numbers on it, like Criterion, causes me to have like a sand spur in my soul, like as I'm looking through, like, oh man, I should really put all the Criterions together, just to see what it looks like. Well, now I probably will as soon as I'm able to. But I mean, when you get to the point that you have 8, 9, 10,000 movies, the alphabet really needs to be part of your thinking.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it is the smartest way to go about a lot of that.
So when I made a video showing my complete collection, vertically instead of horizontally as instructed, for last year's Shelf Shock Rewind, you saw I went around the room and things were displayed, and I took time to make some stuff look interesting and to intersperse figurines and posters and stickers and things like that.
Yeah.
But when you have a collection that is a panoply that goes, fills an entire room. And in fact, that video was not the whole collection.
It's not, yeah.
It spilled over into 2 other rooms. And I've gotten more things since then. A lot more things. It's easy for me to understand the appeal of different like themed organizations, but it's hard for me to accept anything except for the alphabet.
There are certain things that I think it's certainly size of catalog dependent. Genres and by label makes a lot of sense if you only have a couple thousand at most, but when you start talking about like 8,000 to 9,000, man, alphabetical is very appealing.
Yeah. I have about 2,500 books, and for most of the time I've known you, I was in my old office, and so you could see behind me in that office that there were just books everywhere, and it was all around the room. And those were also organized alphabetically they were divided by subject. So it was like science, history, music, literature, film, religion, philosophy, etc. And then organized by author. And the division head, the director of the housing and residence life unit of the university, would occasionally visit the office just to say hi and see how things are going. And he would come in and he would wait until I wasn't looking and would move a book just to see if I would notice. And I always noticed. But sometimes it took a while. I would just be uncomfortable and be like, what the fuck happened? And
something's not right.
Yeah. And it was one of those things where you torture someone with undiagnosed OCD. But I always noticed he would move something not every time, but every time he did move something, I would find it, and he would think that's real funny. And,
it is pretty funny.
And then after 13 years of knowing me and being on good relations, I changed positions, and I could have stayed in the same office, but he was like, "No, I'm moving you to a closet. Fuck you." and that's what human relations are like. You know, you think you're cool, and then you find out you're not.
Well, we're getting to the end of what we should probably wrap up. I do want to say one thing that kind of ties the whole physical location in a collection and for moving is really important. And just want to highlight that one of the things you should always prep for is movement. For a collection, physical movement is the enemy for all of these things. You don't want a stack to fall over. You don't want, if it's something in a box, you don't want the stuff in the box to move at all. It's the same as when you're shipping a package. You don't want to get something in from Diabolic and shake the box and you hear contents just going all over like you get from Best Buy or Amazon. You want those things to be stuffed tight in that box and not be able to move at all. So if you're moving, lock it in there tight. If you are storing things in your collection room, find a way to do it so it's really difficult for things to move, and they won't be able to move just off the wall.
You heard it from Ryan first. Stuff that box tight. Hey, you know what? Today, I was trying to go through a box, and I set it down on a surface that I thought was stable, and it fell, and the box burst, and all the thank God it was DVDs.
Ugh.
You know, thank you, Christ Jesus in heaven. That it was only the DVDs. But like half of them, the discs like popped out. I had to like open every case and make sure everything was okay. And then it was awful.
I felt real bad. I can't remember if it was before. Yeah, it had to have been before you came here, I think. Will and I, we were researching a book, and I don't have the book, and I asked Will for it, and he sent me a picture of, I think it was like lodged up behind something, and you had to stand awkwardly in a room and move half a box to the side to take a picture and say, it's up there in that corner.
Do you want to know what the book was? Do you want me to say what it was?
No, not right now.
Okay.
Tune
in next month, true believers.
Maybe. It might be next month. Maybe. At this point, it might be June of next year.
Would it really be that much of a hint?
I mean, who knows?
Okay.
You can go ahead and say it.
No, I'm big into edging.
This has been an unhinged episode of Reconnected.
I'm going to edge you all for the next month.
At least. We don't know when stuff's getting announced.
Ooh, what book was it?
Oh, gosh. You got Craig. Go, Craig.
I'm so glad we did it. You know, oh man, I was in such a bad mood today. I'm really glad that we got to do that. And thanks to the audience. I can't even believe I'm here. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Sibner, for our really intense relationship. Just this is great. I feel like I can avoid therapy a little bit longer.
Just a few more days, not too long. Anyways, I hope you all have enjoyed tonight. It has been a blast to have you all in here. Next week, we are coming back with another fun episode, and it is going to be with Tim Talks Talkies from his YouTube channel. He's never been on the channel before at all, so excited to have Tim on. It'll be a fun week. Keep in mind, Vinegar Syndrome sale, end of this month. I'll just share now. Everybody always asks us if I'm streaming. Of course I'm streaming. But because it's the Vinegar Syndrome sale, Celeste will be here live for it. That's always the plan. If it's a VS sale, Celeste will be with me. And we got a lot of stuff to talk about soon because it's time for the Shelf Shock Awards. We're going to be starting some voting here soon. We got a lot of stuff to go down that road with. We've got some releases that Will and I are excited to talk about soon. We've got a lot coming up. It's almost the end of the year, sir.
Celeste gets the Vinegar Syndrome. But when it's time to talk Ronin flicks...
You get all of the Vinegar Syndromes every single month.
I recognize my privilege.
Really, because that sounded like an entitled, petty little.
I just thought it'd be funny to be like, oh.
The Rodentflix jab was pretty funny.
It's like, oh, we're gonna have Will on to talk about Hamilton books.
Oh, amazing. You all are incredible. Check out the links in the description below. We don't ever talk about Will stuff, but he was on a Wes Craven book that was released recently. I thought the other one was not yet released, but yes.
No, I think it's out.
Okay. Links for everything is in the description below. Follow Will everywhere, even though he hardly posts. See Will here again, first Thursday of December. And until next time, we appreciate you guys. Go watch a movie. Check out Patreon, link in the description below. We'll talk to you next time. Have a good one. Thank you for watching The Disconnected. On the way out, make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, that you've liked the video, and that you've copied the link to be able to share with someone else that may appreciate this.